What's going on, everybody? MaxxWell Q here. Welcome back to Howto Tuesdays. So in today's episode, it's going to be a little bit shorter than normal, but a lot of people have been asking me what I put on my master channel. So today we're going to go over that. But before I get into the master channel specifically, I want to say there are two things that you should be doing before you get to your master. You could skip everything else, but if you do these two things, it will make your mixes sound a lot better. One of them we went over yesterday, last week, which is EQing. Make sure you EQ all your instruments. Make sure there's no clashing frequencies. That is going to be the main key thing when it comes to your mixes and why they're not hitting as hard or why they're not as clear. The second thing is your levels and how you level your instrumentation. I personally like to, I like my melodies anywhere between around, what does this say, like 9.5. So anywhere between really -7 dB and lower. Depending on how loud the melody is or the sample is, will determine on where you are going to level your instruments. Next, obviously, your kicks and your 808s you're gonna want them to hit at their hardest point. So I basically have, the kick is always going to be at 0. My 808 is ducked down to -222, my lucky number. But it's basically, if I play the track for you guys, you will see it's hitting at its hardest point. It's hitting at its hardest point without clipping, and that's what you want as far as your 808. Next, you then come to your percussion instruments, and besides my clap, everything else is kind of just leveled to a point where, you could hear it, but it's not too loud. I want my percussion instruments to kind of sit there within the background and give it an extra bounce, but I don't want them all to be, at 0 and all of them kind of fighting for space. So those are the two things that you want 100% make sure you do before you get onto your master channel. But now that we've done all that, we are gonna get into the master channel. So the first thing that I do is I like to duck my master channel anywhere between -5 and -10 dB, just to give me headroom, because once you put on that master limiter, it's going to bring up the loudness, and you want to make sure that it's not clipping. And even if it is clipping, because clipping is so if it's subtle, it's not going to make a huge difference in your mix. But if you have this at 0 dB and you're clipping at +12, then obviously that's bad. But if you're ducked to -5 and you're clipping at a +1 or a +2, it's not going to make a huge difference. It actually might add a little bit of character to your beats. So next, we're going to get into the actual master channel and what I put on there. So there it is. That's it. Literally, that is it. An EQ and a limiter, and that is it. So let's get into exactly what I do with each plugin. So right here, we just have an M-class equalizer that's stock within Reason. The first thing I do is I turn the low cut on, which knocks out any frequencies below 30 hertz, which we spoke about last week. Those frequencies are unneeded. So just to make sure they're completely out of the way, we turn it on the master as well. And then next, we turn on parameter 1 and parameter 2. Parameter 1 we have at about 320 hertz, and parameter 2 we have at 5.1 kilohertz. And what we're doing here, what I learned a very long time ago, I don't necessarily know why I do these things, but I learned it a very long time ago, and I've always used it ever since. So what I learned was that, there's all these frequencies within your mix, within the EQ spectrum, and you want to separate each like frequency section. So there's the low section, there's the mid section, and then there's the high section. And what you want to do is you want to separate them a slight bit by giving a cut within your EQ. So what I did here was at 320 hertz, anything lower is low and anything higher is mid. So what I did was I just made a slight cut just to separate the low and the mid. And then I did the same as well with the mid and the high. So at 5.1 kilohertz, it's separating the mid from the high frequencies. Just something that I learned. I don't really know how much it actually does that to improve the master, but it's just something that I've always done, and it's always made my mixes fatter. So yeah, that's why I do it. You could not do it, and maybe it might work out for you. I don't really know, but it's just something that I've always done and has always been on my master channel. Next, we get into the plugin that does it all. This is the Izotope Ozone Maximizer. It's the Reason Rack extension, but they do make a plugin for it. And what I do is, when you first open it up, it's going to look like this. So what I do is I put it on soft, which is soft clipping. Then I bring this stereo link to unlinked. I've just, over time, I've known that this just, is what gets it to knock hard. And then from here, I just bring this level up. Now, normally I sit around somewhere around 7 dB, or set the threshold around 7. But, you can go up and down, obviously, depending on your mix. And that is it. That's all I put on my master. So we'll listen to it without the master. We're going to A/B it for you guys. We're going to play it without the master, and then we're going to play it with the master. So here we go. So as you could tell, the mix kind of stays the same, but the only thing that is really changing is the loudness. And, a lot of, I guess that kind of answers the question for everybody, because everybody's been asking me, what do you put on your masters? Why do your mixes sound so clean? And it really doesn't come down to the master itself, because the master, all it's doing is just making everything sound better. It's not making it, it's not fixing what you mix. It's just taking what you did within the mix and it's making it louder, it's making it clearer, but it doesn't change what you did on the mix. So, making sure that your mix is as good as possible is the most important thing before you start your master. Because how your mix sounds is how your track's going to sound when you turn that master on. So I hope that helped you guys out today. if you have any more questions as far as mixing and mastering, definitely let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. You don't know how much that does for me and this channel. And if you have not subscribed, please do so you can know every single time that I drop a brand new video. But that will do it for today. And I will catch you guys next time on How To Tuesdays.